As an addendum to Roaming Rural France 3, Picture Perfect Perigord, we now have a look at superb Sarlat, a truly magnificent medieval town. It was a brilliant autumn morning as we arrived early at a superb Sarlat. Sarlat didn't look very friendly at first. Guard dogs and a somewhat grim Palace of Justice. But as we got further downtown, we soon realised that Sarlat really deserved its well-earned reputation of possessing the highest concentration of medieval, Renaissance and 17th century facades of any town in France. Now a small town of some 10,000 people, Sarlat is the capital of Dark Perigord, so named because of the dark forests in the region. The town of Sarlat probably began in 778 AD, when Charlemagne stopped there and gave the monks of the monastery there a fragment of the true cross and the holy thorn. However, erection of the first buildings probably occurred between 820 and 840 AD. Situated 12 miles from the Vézère basin where it all began, Sarlat has no traces of prehistoric human settlement. Neanderthal man usually preferred valley sites rather than limestone plateau, because the wooded slopes of valleys such as the Vézère was far better for the huntsman of prehistory. Of course, being the capital of gourmet Dark Perigord, Sarlat is regarded as the home of the best pâté de foie gras in the land. We had time to take in some of the fascinating architecture of the town and soak up the feeling of the place, while we awaited the arrival of our English-speaking guide to tell us more about this very special place in France. It was a beautiful day, with a clear blue sky and a new moon.
My name is Françoise, and I am going to take you around the city to show you many beautiful old buildings. The city was the first inhabitants were monks. We don't know exactly where they first came, but it was before the 10th century, because the oldest text writing we have date back to the 10th century. The city set up next to the city, to the abbey, and it became very prosperous. During the 13th century, there were about 5,000 inhabitants. It was a very big city, and we knew very hard periods, like the 100 Years' War, the wars of religion, epidemics of plagues, and also famine. But the city succeeded to overcome the difficulties because of tradesmen. Today tradesmen used to animate the city also. And after the 18th century, inhabitants preferred to live out of the enclosure walls, because there were no modern conveniences in the town. And so the city was didn't know modernization.
I have amplified her voice so that you can hear it easily, but at times the roar of the traffic and air conditioning, especially the air conditioners, almost blank it out. But bear with it, because it's worth listening to.
About the old historical town, the law of the 4th of August 1962. And now we are on a courtyard, and you can see very old buildings. The houses here are very old, and you can see from age to age they used to change the shape of windows and doors according to architectural fashions. And here you can see your windows, American windows from the 15th century, just near doors from the 14th century. And next time we go into the with Altenburg construction, yeah. Because Altenburg construction, lighter than stone construction, so that you can see this here.
Yes, supporter le floor.
You know, it was the chimney of the window. You can see just over me.
On the left.
And just here. Now, if you want, you can go on the place, the square. Just
16th century carved gargoyles, but very weathered now.
a chimney from the 13th century, and at the room here, you can see the chimney from the 16th century. It was a Renaissance one.
The evolving history of the town is shown in this square, where the changing markings on the sides of the buildings show just where an original dwelling has been built onto and added again and again, changed and maybe modified again, so that the wall really tells the whole story of the evolution of the buildings over hundreds of years.
Your ages, you know, everything's went down. And they used to stroll in the street. Just here, the doors, on the first floor and the second floor, you can see Romanesque style. And the Romanesque door was changed to at the beginning of the 18th century. But on the right, you can see the Bishop Palace.
Unfortunately, her amplified voice simply couldn't carry above the very high level of background noise here, but she's describing the square around the cathedral, telling us something about the windows and the time at which they were built in the various buildings which identify them clearly, and generally telling us how there are hundreds and hundreds of years of history in this square itself.
Storage came from the beginning of the 20th century. Very next to now. And here you have a very beautiful house. We call it, we think that it's a very famous man, if you want, during the 16th century. You can see this house has windows from the 16th century, a Renaissance window, but the shape of the house comes from the medieval age, you know. On the right you can see the medallion, and in medallion there are owners' portrait. Yes, they are not very beautiful. So, and now, if you want, you can go into the cathedral to have a look to the cathedral and also to a beautiful organ, baroque organ. And be careful that when we are going to go into the cathedral, you can see there is a devil. It's looking after us. If you want, you can see on the first, second floor, on the left, in the middle of the window, you can see a devil.
I suspect she may have met this one. It looks more like a devil to me. Built between 1515 and 1519, the chancel of the cathedral stands out somewhat from the remaining Romanesque architecture and marks a slow transition toward Gothic architecture. Its vaulted roof was not built until 1682. The cathedral witnessed the wars of religion that beset the town for 150 years, but through it all, the magnificent stained glass windows survived well. A notable feature of the cathedral is the many gargoyles. The flying buttresses balance the nave and the side chapels, and there is an unquestionable impression of massiveness and sturdy foundations about the building. The plentiful supply of high-quality limestone around Salar allowed the town to build such massive structures, like this unique cone-roofed lantern of the deceased. Salar has many tourist sites, and the cathedral is a very popular one. The lantern of the deceased juts out over the rooftops of Salar, a perfect perch for a pigeon. It is a strange beacon built as the result of knights visiting the Holy Land.
Then after you can see the choir.
This was also a perfect vantage point to have a closer look at the impressive outside facade of the cathedral. Once again, the many gargoyles are a striking feature of the cathedral. This wonderful house, typical of local architectural style, adjoins very narrow Rue Montagne.
Now we are going to find many beautiful old houses. They were built at the end of the 100 years war, and when noble people built them, they want to show their social position, their status, so that you can see a very beautiful houses in the city. You can see a covered balcony, and you can see machicolation. They used stone like machicolation. And machicolation, in a castle, machicoli. It's a
The road to the Perigord, the former royal law courts, set up here by King Henry II.
Yeah, a beautiful town. It was built at the end of the 15th century to show the social positions.
It is a crowded area of wonderful old homes dating back to the 16th century and earlier.
The status of the family. The tower was so important that they built it onto the building, and they cut, if you want, doors and window. But it was very amazing because they used to live and the house not in the tower because it's only a staircase. Yeah.
The astonishing manner in which ancient buildings abut one another.
Yes, yes. it was very important. So, you can see the door was very well decorated with this Gothic, flamboyant Gothic accolade.
Salamander, like a dragon, another salamander.
Long riding skirt.
The salamander is a traditional emblem and resident of this part of Perigord.
A very beautiful roof made of stone. It has the traditional roofs in the countryside, in the area around the city. And you can see these roofs are made of stones, limestones. The weight is very important, about 500 kilos.
At 500 kilos per square metre, that makes for a very heavy roof, needing very solid foundations and roof timbers to carry it. We're now in the artist part of town, where, inevitably, it becomes something of a tourist trap.
And these puppies, there was one of these puppies.
And back to the main square, where things have now livened up quite a bit. Then, to a vantage point over the square to allow some good photographs to be taken.
Now we used to work in the
Because this door has to stay forever. No, it's not. This door will stay forever.
But
it's not.
I didn't actually find out just why these two doors are closed.
New architect, Noel, she said, who has the
Ah, wine de Bergerac. Must stop and have a look at these. Louise got a great photo of these geese. Being pâté de foie gras country, the geese are really revered in the capital of Perigord. A most interesting architectural design of a very old timber staircase. Totally wooden staircase built between two adjoining stone buildings. Everywhere you look in Salar, you see some of the most astonishing structures. Amazing gargoyles everywhere. That will be a great shot. And here it is. A truly beautiful building. With old Salar, the pleasure of the goose. These signs say it all. Almost every shop was selling pâté de foie gras. In Salar there was just so much to see and do. At the tourist office our guide was telling us some other things to see once she had left us. Of course, there was no way we could leave Salar without buying some pâté de foie gras or something good from the goose. Gold medal winners at the Paris Agricultural Show for 2 out of the last 3 years. Not cheap. Even a cassoulet was about $25 Australian, and it goes up to well over 100 for the best of it. But what the heck, let's do it. So, let's go. We're off for lunch now to a very pleasant hotel about 5 or 6 kilometres away on the river. The hotel is called La Plaisance. Yes, indeed. This is Perigord, and our veal dish was predictably superb. The sweet was every bit as good. And Frederick smiled for the camera. Salar was superb, but it's time to go. It certainly was a rather tortuous path finding the wonderful Denois distillery at Brive. Aha, found it! But it will probably be a lot harder finding the way home after one of their wonderful walnut liqueurs.
Non mais on est un peu en avance.
Our group didn't know it at the time, but they're in for a wonderful experience, seeing how this famous old liqueur house made wonderful liqueurs from the crushed walnuts, a crop which is prolific in this part of Perigord.
In a very old house, 150 years here, in the same family, same recipes, same house, and we made liquors. First, I explain different methods to give this specialty, and after we see the distiller, and after you test the different liquor. Okay? You want? Yes, you want? Well, but sorry, I try to speak in English. I don't speak very well, I try.
Very good.
Yes, you understand?
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Okay, well, you can follow me, please. now Olympic plays. Oh. You prefer my house? I am very happy. Vous parlez français? Oui. Somebody speak French? Yeah. C'est une très vieille église. Non, 100 years. What? Everybody? The specialty is a liquor made with green walnuts. Green. Walnuts be gathered in summer between June and July. You know? Yes. You made?
Yes.
No. Exactly. Yes. You know these recipes? No. Alors, we walnuts be gathered in summer. We cut in 4 parts. The grandmother, it's tradition. Cut in 4 parts green walnuts, mixed with wine or spirit, and give this preparation for all the family. It's a medicine. It's good for stomach, digestive, and a fever. It's a reason. You have walnut trees in your garden, for example? Yes. Yes. I don't know. It's exactly the walnuts of this country. Exactly the same walnuts.
Yes.
Exactly. Oh, yes. You can make this medicine every year. You can make. In this country, every year, proprietor men of walnut trees. Yes. Proprietor. Owner. Proprietor. Of walnut trees.
Yes.
Walnut trees. Yes.
Yes.
Every year we crush and we press 10 tons. Yes. We mix with this machine. We press, we crush, we press. We give green juice. We mix the juice with spirit, and the juice stays 5 years in oak barrels. It's only in France. We are alone. After we mix the old juice with Armagnac, you know, and cognac, and the sugar syrup cooked under wood fire. And we get the famous liquor, very good reputation and very high quality. Liquor of my house. The name is Suprême de Noix. It's my specialty. The specialty of my family. Yes. Like we made like my great grandfather. Yes. And we mix the old juice with wine, and we get an aperitif. The name is Quinquinois. Have you seen? No. We have a butter with 2 walnuts on the butter. Perhaps have you seen with leaves? Yes. It's a specialty of my house, also. And we made other liqueurs by distillation. We distill different grains, herbs, plants, and if you want, I can go to see the still. Yes? Yes. Have you some questions? If I can understand?
My mother used to make pickled walnuts.
Pickle?
Salé.
Oui?
Avec de... je sais pas.
C'est la noix mûre alors?
Oui.
Non,
C'était vert aussi.
Vert?
Oui. Alors, to eat with meat. But you don't it was very good.
Nice. With the green walnuts?
Yes, green walnuts, and you have to prick them. She used to do it with a sharp steel knitting needle. Make holes
or a
so that a skewer, so that the salt water will.
Salt
for
salt water
for maybe 2 weeks. Changing the water, yes.
salt.
Yes, pickle.
Pickle.
Like pickled pork.
It's an ingredient like
Like you do the meat.
onion. Like
pickled onion.
Pickle.
Oui.
Yes. Yes. Oh, sorry, I don't speak very well. But it's funny. Yes, I understand. Yes.
Very nice.
You eat with meat. Yes. And vegetables, perhaps. Yes. It's a condiment. Yes, yes. You know, de noix. Walnuts. It's my name. It's funny.
Denois, master liquor maker at Brive since 1839.
Go to the distillery. Here's the still. I speak about different liquors from distillation. Kilo, and liters. Yes, we use always this copper. Yes, we are alone in France to make liquors like this. The same family here, the same recipes. We use always steel, copper. It's a very important tradition. Now many industrial men to make the liquors by chemical color, chemical aroma, and syrup, sugar, industrial sugar. Huh? They mix different ingredients and make liquors. Yes? In your country it's the same? Yes. Many, with the industrialization, people buy chemical things. Okay? Yes? But here we made liquors alone. We buy spirits, we buy fruits, we buy plants, herb, we buy sugar, and we made liquor alone. Yes? To distiller we use steel. We hear recipients with spirit, with orange skins, for example. The spirit is very often Armagnac. We put Armagnac and orange skins. Oh, your orange skins? Yes. Juniper. You know, verbena, coriander, different herbs, plants. Yes. We heat. We get libellation. We get vapor in this part. Yes. And this another like this. The vapor go in the nuts, and with cold water we get distillation. Spirits. Spirit, for example, for orange, or spirit of coriander, etc. We made like perfumer man. You understand? Yes. We don't put in the still fruit. We don't have fermentation. You know? Yes. We made like perfumer. Okay. Yes. Different. We are distillator, but it's not the same. Exactly the same things. Okay. Yes. You can go to see distillation here. Pure from the steel. Very strong, 80 degrees. You don't drink, okay? You smell only. And you try to find what is it. What is it? Yes? You smell only. Yes? Okay. Because it's very strong. But, yes. The spirit off. You try. Not exactly the same family, but not exactly similar. The same family. It's aphrodisiac also. Aphrodisiac. Yes? What did you say? It's aphrodisiac plant. It's good for digestive. It's rejuvenation. Yes. Many virtues. What is it?
When you say fruit, do you mean the...
It's not the fruit.
The smell.
No, you know, when you were saying fruit.
We don't use fruit in the still.
Oh, you
We
were
put
fruit.
no walnuts. No. We put coriander, banana, orange peels, verbena, etc. Yes. But what is it? Are you fun? What is it?
Licorice.
What is it?
I think that might be the fennel taste.
No. Mint.
Mint.
Verbena. You know?
Yes, I know.
Verbena. Angelica. Angelica. Yes. Different herbs. Huh? Green. You know evaporation? Evaporation. The name of evaporation, we give a name. It's angel's spot. You understand?
Yeah.
No. Angels.
Angels, yeah.
Part.
Rotate.
Yes. Bread. Angel bread. It's a pitcher. Yes, it's a pitcher. We mix water and sugar. Hello. To get syrup, we mix water and sugar. Made like this in your country, exactly the same. Water, sugar, but we must to clear, to pure the syrup. We put into the syrup egg white. Egg white. You know? You know this method? Yes. All these impurities go near this egg white. We put out the skin and we get the syrup very pure, very clear. Yes. You can make with marmalade. Yes, the same method. After, when the syrup is very pure, we put the syrup in this big cupper. Yes. And after, all the year, when we want to make a liquor, we take a big cupper, the spoon, and the recipes, and we take different ingredients, we mix, and we put the liquor finish in the barrels behind. Do you see barrels? Wood?
Yes.
In oak barrels?
Just so we came in.
Yes, behind. Yes. We put the liquor finish in these barrels. That's all. And after you drink. A story of my family, and I want to perpetuate my family. And my grandfather is dead, my father is dead, and I want to keep my father and my grandfather with me. And the better I can do, it's speak of my father and grandfather every day, and make the same method. Yes, and it's perhaps for me, for them, the eternity. Yes, if I can make this, yes, I think. And for me, it's the most important. Yes, I can to present her. My family, you want? Yes. And you follow me?
Do you have children?
Yes, I two girls.
Oh, right.
5 years and 12 years.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to drink?
No, okay.
No?
She's just dying.
You need some of that.
We have to hear you say
Yes. Now it's finished.
Yes.
Informatique. It's my great-grandfather, the founder.
Nice looking man.
It's me. My great grandfather. Yes. And when he's dead, their son, yes, have 7 years. Yes, it's my great grandmother and my great grandmother. We have teach the job of distillator of at my grandfather. Now it's my grandfather. He's still always the same still. I distiller. Yes. Yes. It's my grandfather old. Yes. He was also pilot. Perhaps he put liquors in the. And here it's my father. My father is dead 10 years ago. Yes. Yes. Young. Yes. Yes. And my father wanted. We stay artisan. Yes. It's very important. The value is very important for my family and for everybody, I think, now. Because we are many industrial things. It's not very good and very without lamb. Without value. Yeah. One for the story. It was I don't. During 10 years, I was a nurse. Yes. You know nurse? Yes. Yes. And I have never worked with my father. Yes. And I have after the death of my father, I have come in this business. Yes, but I think the need of a nurse, because you have some problem with your stomach now. Yes, you want to drink my specialty. Yes. You wait, yes? After you see the barrels, we put in the barrels liquor finished. Okay? After we do this pepper or filters. We filter with this pepper. After we put the picture here. And here liquor are finished. Yes, it's a liquor with walnuts. Yes, specialty, very high specialty. The same liquor on this picture. Yes, with my great grandfather. Now you can test. You wait. Everybody have a glass to drink before to drink. You smell it first. When after you drink, when I say go, you hear, yes? You listen, I say different test, different, yeah. You take it first glass. You drink liquor always on ice. Liquor is sugar, with sugar. And it's less strong and the perfume go out. Yes? You don't drink. Okay? You smell and drink. Smell and drink. Because you don't drink, you smell. Together. Yes. You put the glass on the foot. With the foot. Yes. You hold. No like this. You don't walk.
What are we smelling?
Because you drink always liquor very, very cold. Yes. Always on ice. Yes. You put an ice, or you can put the bottle in the freezer very, very cold. It's a very yes. What? Good health. Good health. And good holiday. Test Armagnac. You test Armagnac in first. Yes. After you have a vanilla and wood test. Yes. Now you can drink slowly. Very fine liquor. Very, very fine liquor. After drink, you test you have the test of walnuts. Now you have never problem with stomach. It's finished. Very good digestion.
I need to do it.
J'attends une dizaine de minutes pour regarder.
Good?
Very nice.
It's also veal. Veal, yes. Veal. You cook the veal. After you put out the meat, and with the liquor in the sauce, with liquor and cream. Marvelous. It's very good with vegetables or somebody in France can see you cook. You put out the meat and you mix with mustard and cream together. It's very good. Very good. The same thing with rabbit. Rabbit. Put on the rabbit. Yes. Yes. And perhaps kangaroo. Perhaps with kangaroo. Violet is the color. Yes. It's not the flower. Yes. You know flower, violet? Yes. And with vinaigrette. You know? Yes. Avocat. It's very good. No liquor. I don't export liquors. Australia, it's very difficult. Yes, a spirit in your country. But perhaps you can find my mustard. Possible. It's possible.
You can buy a packet bottle. Yes, you can buy a cream.
Mix with another sweet. When you open this bottle,
Walnut Sunshine. At 99 francs, that's a little over $25 Australian. The bottle Sunshine was selling really well. And there was wine from Cahors and Bergerac, the southwest, Bordeaux, and from the valley of the Loire. Wonderful wine, all of it. But now, it's time to see if we can find our way home. Au revoir. Keen buyers of fresh produce come from far and wide to visit the famous Brive market. Our group were not very keen when they saw meat from this animal being offered for human consumption in the delicatessen. Woof woof. Meatloaf, but who knows what it's got in it. It's an enormous market, selling a huge range of produce, and the vendors are really proud of their wares. Also wonderfully fresh. Branded regional honey and royal jelly. So many tasty things to sample. Fresh violet garlic. French dogs are carried everywhere, as well as being eaten.
Monsieur, filmez.
Fresh walnuts from Carrez, a little over $4 Australian a kilo. Regional honey from Carrez and Corazine, and country honey packaged by the apiarist. Magnificent pumpkin, and he's really proud of it. That made a great still shot. Magnificently fresh lettuce and great broccoli, cabbages and cauliflower. Special colewort cabbage, about $3 a kilo. Many varieties of potato, tomatoes, beans, and also fresh. Just harvested walnuts and chestnuts. Superb apples. Perigord really have everything going for it in the way of fresh produce. Future prospects for these two would be a bit dicey. And somehow I think these won't be chirping much longer either. Every type of food on the wing that you could think of. Every little boy is a born tormentor. The crowds are thinning, the people have bought what they wanted, and the markets are about to fold up until next Saturday morning. Some vendors still have some great produce to sell. The goat cheese seller is still trading enthusiastically, but his stock is running down. Regrettably, it's time to go. On our final day of touring from Auvergne, we see Perigord's finest chateau, built in the 17th century. A magnificent structure.
And first what we see down the village is a cupola. Maybe you see it down in the village. We said it's cupola, it's church, nice castle up on the hill. And I ask you to be in front of the big door of the castle. I will show you at 3.
The castle foundations are really massive. Believe it or not, this means the roadway to Auvergne, the home of the Baroness de Bastard. She fully restored the Chateau d'Auvergne after a disastrous fire in 1968, and it is now open for visitors. At the border between green and white Perigord, the Chateau d'Auvregne's elegant 17th century silhouette stands out in sharp contrast to the fortresses of this ancient region. The mass of the castle looms high above the beautiful village of Auvergne down below. And the wonderfully verdant and softly beautiful countryside beyond. We were privileged to have a private inspection of the castle with an excellent English-speaking guide. In Hauteford's famous French gardens, the flower beds are delineated by trimmed box hedges and made to be admired from above.
On the site of a former medieval castle, and in the 17th century it was a marquis, the Marquis Jacques-François Beaufort, who decided to modify the fortress and to have this chateau built. In the 17th century, the work started in 1633 and lasted until 1670. This first restoration was ended in 1965. 3 years later, in 1968, a big fire destroyed the main part of the chateau, that is to say, all the part which is in front of us. And on this part, only the exterior walls remained. The 2 towers of the chateau didn't burn, So it remained the parapet walk and the medieval tower you will be able to see at the end of the tour, and also the part going to the chapel, and the chapel we're going to see in a few minutes. The causes of the fire, in fact, in the last night of August 1968, there was a dinner, and after the dinner, young people of the family hid in the attics of the chateau to smoke, and they just left their cigarette ends in the attics of the chateau. So, and 1 year after the fire, in 1969, the Baroness de Bastard started a second program of restoration, which is nearly ended today. In fact, the north-west part of this building is now completely restored. This is in this part that the Baroness lived. So we're going to see some of her private rooms. We'll see the largest room of the chateau. The room is 280 square meters. This is also refurnished, of course. And there are still some work to do in the northeast part of the chateau, because in this tower there are still empty rooms, so we still have some work to do. The Baroness de Bastard was widowed in 1957, and she married again General du Rozoy. So she was Madame du Rozoy. She was widowed again because General du Rozoy died in 1988. And Madame du Rozoy died last year on the 23rd of April. In fact, this lady didn't have children. And in 1990, she has created a foundation, and some of her nephews managed the foundation. That is to say that the chateau is still private and still owned by the same family, in fact. Okay? So we're going to start our tour by the chapel.
Here we have a magnificent view of the east terrace with a box hedge garden planted in the form of a gushing fountain as a symbol the Baroness de Bastard dreamed of building a fountain in this spot. Plus a great view of the church in the lower village.
And now we're going to see the largest room of the chateau upstairs, but if you could walk on the carpet, please, just because the floor you're going to see is new.
The famous Auvergne tapestry by Jacques d'Orléac, bearing the outfit coat of arms. On the right is a portrait of Queen Marie-Therese by Bourbon. On the left, Louis XIV portrait by Testaline.
In the 17th century, just to put a bit of furniture in the room, and also to have some heating inside. So all you see today is new, and it was made exactly as it was in the 17th century, because people have kept photos, and owing to the photos, they did exactly as it was before. So
this is the fully restored Grand Hall on the second floor.
They are more than 21 feet high. Each one weighs 4 tons, and people...
A pair of 17th century tapestries from Brussels depicting Antony and Cleopatra.
...work to rebuild the 2 fireplaces. So it was quite hard work, of course. And the fireplaces can work. We can make them inside, in fact. They are functional. And maybe you noticed that...
The huge picture for the space above the fireplace has not yet been restored.
In fact, in the frames, there were tapestries. We're going to put some again, but it will be done little by little, of course. A few words about the 2 paintings you have in front of you. They represent, on the right, Anne of Austria.
And the fireplace has yet to have many huge blazing logs warming this enormous room.
Octavia. So Octavia was the wife of Mark Antony, and Cleopatra, his mistress. And brings with his mistress, of course.
It's so beautiful, though.
Of the Marquis Jacques-François Beaufort, so the one who decided to have the chateau built in the 17th century. Mary was born in this chateau, but she went to the royal court very early. In fact, she was only 14 when she went to the royal court. And she was loved by the King Louis XIII. So that's why her brother had enough money to have this chateau built. And the Marquis was also in the army of the King Louis XIII. And Louis XIV, he was also the Royal Valet, because in honor to his sister was loved by the King Louis XIII, the Marquis wanted a chateau like the chateaus of the Royal Valet. So that's why we have here a big chateau, you know. Just a few words about the furniture in this room. So here you can see a desk which is in violet wood. So violet wood exists. This is an exotic wood coming from Brazil, Madagascar or tropical America. And this desk was made in the 18th century. It's from Louis XV. Okay? Oh, yes, I've forgotten the drawer. There is a secret drawer. Do you know where it is? Just guess. Il y a un tiroir secret, donc j'essaie de faire venir le tiroir secret. No, it's not behind the... No. Sorry. Yeah, exactly, yes. You just move this part. This is where you can find the secret drawer, you know, so where you could put letters or jewels or money or whatever you want. On this wall, you're going to see an open-stone tapestry. I don't know if you can see the difference in the colors. Can you see the difference?
Yes.
Yeah. So first, this tapestry was in another frame, a smaller one, then they decided to change the tapestry or the frame of the tapestry, so they just added these two parts. That's why the colors are quite different, in fact, between the middle, the center of the tapestry, and the two sides, in fact. Next to the fireplace, you're going to see a fire screen, which is from the 18th century, and it was just used like this, in fact, just in decoration, because if we had used the fireplace, the fire screen could have duration only, in fact. Just here, you're going to see a gouache, which is from the end of the 17th century, and you must see a difference in the colors. I'm going to show you the part which is different, in fact. In fact, it's the central part. I don't know if you can see, but it makes like a round, you know, the central part. And in fact, this part should have been used to make a fan, you know, for women in Spain, you know. So that's why the colors are quite different. And when they didn't use it as a fan, they just kept the whole painting and they put it in a frame, like they did here, for example, in fact. So now we're going to see the petit salon of Madame du Rozoy. So the small sitting room, or it was much more waiting room, in fact. After the fire, this chateau is listed historical monument.
This painting, Ariadne in Naxos, is ascribed to Capel, who lived from 1661 to 1722.
And these paintings are from the middle of the 18th century. And it was in this room that people waited before being received by Madame du Rozoy. And then they went into the large waiting room or sitting room. Sitting room which is just beyond these doors on the left. Tapestries, and you can see 4 Flemish tapestries. In fact, they are Brussels tapestries from the end of the 16th century. And they were the 4 tapestries which were saved in 1968 by a member of the staff of the chateau who threw them out of the windows. As for the table, which is at the back of the room, this table is in solid oak, and it weighs more than 500 kilos. And of course it was just a kitchen table used by the staff of the chateau in the 17th century. In fact, people didn't sit around to eat, they just were standing to chop, in fact, you know. And you can see where they cut meat or other pheasants or, you don't know. On top of the table, you can see 3 plates. They are French pieces of china. They look like Italian, but they are French, in fact, and they are from the 19th century. On the right, it's the Annunciation to the Shepherds. The one on the showcase, you're going to see a French, generally Delft are just white and blue. These have also green and red. And it is very rare, in fact, to find green and red in Dutch pieces of china, also from the 18th century. And at the bottom, of the showcase, you have an Italian statuette. So everything inside is from the 18th century, except the French ewer, which is from the 19th century. And on top of the showcase, you can see a vase, which is also from the 19th century and from Morocco, because General du Rozoy went to Morocco during the 2 World War. Yes, yeah, and yes, sorry, and that's where he brought this vase, for example. You have also an Italian chest carved in wood. It is from the 18th century, and this chest was used by the brides to put their trousseau. So it was just a chest for marriage, for the weddings. And on top of the chest, you have also an Italian bowl from the 16th century. As you can see today, we just put flowers on the bowl, but before there was water inside here. As we are still in the private part of the chateau,
I sneak back for a look at the bedchamber of Marie d'Orford, a beauty who was a favourite of King Louis XIII and XIV. The blue velvet canopy of the four-poster is edged with strips of tapestry. Now into her private dining room. After a lifetime of vital influence in French politics, Marie d'Orford died aged 75 in 1691.
Closed by doors between the 19th century and the 1960s. Then you have also two marble busts. They represent on the right Marcus Aurelius and on the left Seneca. And the two busts were carved in the 17th century. Behind the doors, there is also only one room. Just behind the doors, you can see that you have curtains behind the doors, and just behind, just one. I think we have a wonderful view, and that's why she preferred staying just below this this part of the chateau. And it was in the Tournon that we had the kitchens of the staff of the chateau.
Now it's down to the dungeon. And along a long subterranean passageway. And when we get there, it's bye, bye, bye in the chateau shop. A long climb to the top of the tower to get a great view of people exiting the shop and leaving the chateau. Finally, a last view of the beautiful French garden, and below them and below the chateau wall, the wonderful old rooftops of the old village of Orford down below. And it's a reluctant farewell to this verdant white Perigord countryside. And a short drive to the 12th century hilltop village of Saint Robert. With a list of the key village officials headed by the sentry car driver.
Of the nave, and the nave was going till the house. You see, you understand? Yes. But now it's distracted, and we can see only the deambulatory and the choir and the absence. You see, transept. Oh goodness.
The black area shows that portion of the church which remained today. The rest of the church was sacked during the religious wars of the 12th century. Just look how much of the church is still missing. Gradually trying to restore it, but all that's left of the 12th century is that black portion we looked at earlier.
But after on one side And it puts all the spirits in a box. It's called Vignettes. And after people asked to think that, they are asked to believe that if only they look, touch, but now they cannot touch. And if they just believe that only when they look, they can be saved. It's totally different. And you understand that it's something visits that are nice houses and
New Saint-Tropez village across the valley.
we take the children down nearby the fountain, we love the fountain, and we take all the clothes off, and we put 1 or 2 liters of this water, special water, and after we leave the old clothes in. That's why
Now for a stroll around the narrow lanes of the old town. Saint-Tropez was quiet and peaceful and had a powerful sense of being really old. It seemed as though even the plants in the gardens had been here forever. The farmyards, even the animals, had somehow a sense of antiquity about them. Above the barn door, not quite 12th century, but 1730. A secure gate from the 12th century fortification. Now we're talking about really old structures.
the noble could have this weather wind, yes.
What did they use the pigeons for? Did they eat them?
Just to have this kind of richness.
A pigeon keeper of the 17th century, a mark of royal privilege, without doubt granted to the Vignettes family.
Got lovely ways.
Yes. As I always pointed out in the chateau, where they didn't want you to go, they didn't do anything as put a great big lump of rope there, they put some plants instead.
Oh, how pleasant.
Yes. Excuse me, I'm going to go past before you take
Yes. I'm keeping on moving back to get a little bit more in.
Back in the town square, in front of the church,
Between the night and the day, you know, before the human people. That's why it was very symbolized. King Peter, St. Peter, when he was hearing, because the gate knows reality, verity before him, you know. Yes, the truth, yes.
and it's time to go. And sadly, it's au revoir to magnificent Hartford.